Hey everyone, Gerard Scarpaci here, craft hairdresser and co-founder of the Hairbrained community. As promised, we have a very special live interview today with someone that I really admire and someone who I've said many times I think is the smartest person I've met in the industry. I know he likes to hear that, but it's true. I want to introduce you to Eli Halliwell, who is I guess is it CEO or president or what's the exact
CEO.
title?
CEO.
CEO of Hairstory. Hairstory, I know a lot of you guys have heard of, and if you haven't heard of it, you're going to be learning a lot about it today because I think innovative brand in the type of product that they create, innovative brand in the business model, how they partner with hairdressers, and we're going to touch on all that. You might recognize Eli if you're someone who's been, part of the Hairbrained journey for a while, as someone who was really helpful during the whole, what do I do about PPP and what do I do about, unemployment? He spent a lot of time joining us on conversations, reading the documents, explaining them to us. I'm not sure what Eli did before hair, but I know that it was something financial. So he kind of understands things that perhaps we might not clearly understand, which is great as someone who kind of leads a company. But he also understands our industry because he's been doing it for a long time. And I wanted to mention, I first met Eli, it's got to be over 20 years ago. I was a salon owner, and we became a Bumble and Bumble Network salon. And as part of that, you go to Bumble and Bumble University, and you go to all these business classes, which was fantastic. And there was a lot of impressive people, but the one who stood out most for me was Eli. He got up and he spoke for an hour. To be honest, I don't even remember the topic. I think it was, I don't know, what was what topic did you always, you must have had
I had two. I had strategy. So how to create a strategy for your business. And then also I taught people how to read a P&L.
There you go. And to be honest, that might be now it's coming back to me. That might be the first time that I've officially, had someone explain to me how to read a P&L. So why don't we pick up there, like, the backstory. We're going to learn all about Hairstory and where you are today. But I know, we don't get anywhere without a foundation. We all come from somewhere. So even before, how did you get into the beauty industry? What did you do before Bumble, and then catch us up from there?
Great. So my career has been back and forth between being an entrepreneur and being an investor. And I spent some time on Wall Street. My first job after college was I started a fish tank company with a friend of mine. And then
literally fish tanks, or is that some kind of like investor thing?
I traveled around the country pitching fish tanks to pet store owners. And
Really?
Wall Street.
Do you have some kind of love for fish, or was that?
No, it was a friend of mine had invented and patented a new kind of fish tank where the fish swim up and down waterfalls, and it had like a terrarium in it where the plants were environmentally filtering the water naturally, and it was really cool. And we sold it to Perfecto, which is one of the big fish tank companies, not for a lot of money at all, but it was a great learning experience.
How old were you when you did that?
21, 22.
So did you go to college?
I did. Yeah, I went.
I figured you were a college guy. Yeah.
I went to college.
While you're going to college, you're selling fish tanks.
This was right afterwards. It was like my parents, they spend all this money to send me to college, and that's I had to tell them I'm going to go sell fish tanks. They were a little scared, but so that was how it started, and I had that entrepreneurial bug, and then I went to Wall Street for a bit, and that's actually where I first was introduced to the hair business, because a family friend from growing up, I live in Irvington, New York, which is just north of New York City. It's the town that I grew up in. And in this town, there was a guy named Michael Gordon who lived with it was this weird family compound where there's this yogi named Alan Finger, and Michael and he were best friends, and they sort of had their families together in this really cool old carriage house. And so I got to know their kids. And then and Michael's godson, Tevye Finger, was Alan Finger's son. And in 1994, I guess, Tev and Michael asked me to help them put together a business plan for a product company for Bumble. And that's when I first got involved. And then I went off to California, went to graduate school, and had another startup that got really big and then died. And came back to New York, and that's when I got involved with Bumble full time.
So even before you were, working, because I think you were general manager at Bumble, so you helped with the business plan for the product launch.
Yeah, I helped them. I basically took all the skills I learned selling fish tanks, and said, like, how do you sort of pitch a product to a salon, and how do you find out where? Here's a list of salons. This is what you're going to do. You're going to walk in. This is how you price it.
Isn't it amazing how some of these random things that we do actually then become so important?
You never know what the determining factors are going to be to your life and your life trajectory, and it's amazing. It is amazing.
And I think that's what a lot of, I'll just use the term, CEOs maybe lack, is that actual door-to-door sales skill. Like having to understand that, hey, even as a hairdresser, client to client, taking a bottle and being able to sell that bottle is something that a lot of people who are running those companies have never done before. So it's interesting that you've had that experience, and I think that it shows a different outlook. Yeah. So how many years then with Bumble, and what were some of the lessons that you took from that? Because I mean, again, it went on to be a legendary company that was then sold for lots of money, and everybody went off and kind of did different things.
So it was an amazing period of time for me, and I loved the 5 years I was at Bumble. My job was to come in and help craft a strategy to grow the business. And Michael had this vision for the Harvard of hair, he called it. And it was really about the design school, what ended up becoming the design school, and sort of how to help hairdressers study the craft of hairdressing and spend an intensive period of time learning from people who had strong opinions, but in a really intensive week-long experience where they were living together and eating together. And then the contribution I had was, well, what about the business school? What about helping them run their salons better? And so we put together that the curriculum, and Tev and Dan were integral parts of that as well. And for me, I'd say it was one of the things up till Hairstory, I'd say it's one of the career accomplishments I'm most proud of, was being part of the team that created Bumble and Bumble University. And in the course of that, I learned that the business of hair is actually a great business, and that the people of hair are just crazy fun. And I just love spending time with hairdressers.
Yeah, that's definitely true there. It's a great business, it's a challenging business. And I think sometimes we get a little lost in it. Hairdressers who are behind the chair and trying to have a busy clientele and trying to train a staff and trying to manage, which is exactly all the things that I've done, and then actually have someone say, okay, this is really how you look at a P&L, or this is really how you strategize. So, again, going back those 20 years, it made a huge impact for me. And I always remember there was one quote that you had about being an inch wide and a mile deep. Mm-hmm. And that was part of your presentation. And that really struck me as, you don't have to necessarily be for everyone. Just go really deep with the people that you're with. And I think fast forward now, I don't know, maybe it's 18 years later, I get an email or a message from Eli Halliwell, and you probably didn't remember me because you had taught so many different people. And I said, hey, you said, hey, we had already started Hairbrained and we had it up and running. And you said, I'm part of launching a new product line with a very famous hairdresser, and I wonder if you would help us out with a survey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know you're very data driven, which I want to talk about too. And I said, sure. And I said, by the way, I remember you had taught that, and then our relationship started from that. So tell us about that famous hairdresser and what vision they had that became where you guys are now.
Sure. So, after Lauder took over full control of Bumble, I went on and became the CEO of Gerleek for a bunch of years, and Michael went on
skincare.
Skincare, yeah, it's an Australian skincare brand that has its own farm where they grow the active ingredients. It's a pretty cool story.
I mean, was that another learning experience for you? Because like skincare compared to pro beauty, like Gerleek, is that consumer skincare?
Yeah, it was a huge learning experience. it helped me move forward in my sort of passion for sustainability. But the reality is I learned I just don't like skincare as much as hair care at all. And the reason is that I feel like skincare is just much more about selling on fear. And like,
you're going to get old, so you better use this.
Yeah.
You're going to get old and ugly.
And your hair care is like, here, you know what? You want your hair to stand up, then use this. You want your hair to be clean, use this. You want to get your hair to lay down, use this. It's just much more of an honest sell. And
it's very interesting because as soon as you say it, it makes sense to me, but I've never thought of it before. I thought you were going to say, yeah, I learned all the sophisticated marketing from skincare, but yeah, interesting.
It just, I don't know. I'm a pretty simple person, and it felt less honest and genuine than it had felt to sell hair care. And so, anyway, how did we get on that? So afterwards, I was in a different role. I actually went back to investing for a while, and Michael had been working on another project, and there were elements of it that I thought was interesting, but I was busy and I wasn't going to be able to. He asked if I could help him, with it, and I was like, I can't really help, but I'll try the product and I'll help you a little bit with some sort of financial stuff. And I took the product home and used it in the shower, and I was literally blown away. It was the single best beauty product, most distinct and different, and also just, I thought, awesome beauty product I'd ever experienced. And so that was in my mind. And then
we're talking about perhaps one of the first versions of New Wash.
We're talking about, the predecessor to New Wash.
I do want to mention to everyone that's watching here, I've pasted a link in the comments where you can take that link and you can try New Wash for free. You can get an 8-ounce bottle of New Wash. We can talk about it. It's a non-detergent based cleanser for your hair. It uses oils. I believe it's avocado oil to cleanse the hair in a very natural way. And it's a kind of a transformer for hair texture. So if you're a hairdresser and you're interested in trying New Wash, just copy that link and put it in your browser and go ahead and fill in the details, and they'll send you an 8-ounce bottle to try. They're that confident that it'll win you over.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for that, Gerard. So I was blown away by the product, and then I think it was somewhere between 4 and 6 months later, I was in a meeting and I just had this like lightning bolt idea. And it was, the context was I was watching the entire professional hair industry essentially implode and disappear before my eyes. What
year are we talking about here? Is this like?
This was 2015. 14-15, like the end of
like the old school distribution model was collapsing. The
distributors were firing every person in the field and just opening up stores because everyone was switching from being commissioned to independent, and all of the brands that had been servicing that had gone exclusive to the hair channel were basically abandoning the channel and going multi-channel, and sales were plummeting. And no one really knew what was going on. I was like, this is really a shame because the hair channel was so awesome and hairdressers are so incredible at introducing something new to consumers. And I just had this idea. I was like, what the hell? Like, why can't we just use technology to solve this problem? Why can't we use technology to enable hairdressers to participate in e-commerce and not get beaten up by it? And I just got so excited that literally within, I'd say, a couple of hours, I had decided to quit my job and start Hairstory. And so I decided if I'm going to try to do this unique model, then that enables hairdressers to participate in e-commerce, then I want to use that product that Michael had because I just love it. And so I pitched Michael as well. And he and I and one other partner created Hairstory.
Now, another one of these crossroads. So I got your email about surveys. You probably made your decision. You wanted more data. We helped you get some of the data that you needed. At least I hope it was helpful. And then Michael had this apartment in downtown Manhattan, which kind of became like the factory, the Andy Warhol factory. Like he wanted hairdressers hanging out and graphic designers and people doing hair and talking about product. And I just said, I made the little phone call and I said, hey, now this is when Facebook Live started, it's got to be about 5 years ago. We were ready because we did Periscope, and I knew Periscope was kind of like a testing ground for us. And I'm like, Facebook's going to do this. and we didn't have the money or the resources to have a studio. So I was like, hey, do you think we could come down and use some of your space? And you guys had welcomed us in, and many of the very first ones that we broadcast were broadcast right from there. And it was kind of, a chance for us to introduce a product and work with the great educators, because all these people were flocking to Hairstory. And it's an interesting point. I was just thinking about this morning. I mean, Bumble had all these great leaders who went off to do different things, and they've all been pretty successful. Some of them kind of focused on that network of owners and kind of re-indoctrinated them into different things. And I was thinking about you and Hairstory, and it seems like, and I don't know if this was intentional, but it seems like it trickled down a little bit more to the actual hairdressers that were behind the chair.
Yeah.
And saying, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but So I figured it was, because she, like I said, a smart dude.
Well, it's not that. So yeah, I mean, Tev and Dan went and built an amazing business in Oribe by going out to the Bumble network and converting the leading salon owners over to Oribe. And this idea really was about the individual hairdresser, my idea. And I wanted them to do what they were doing. I didn't want to interfere with that. And I wanted to do something that was different. And so the point for me was that there are all these people who were becoming their own entrepreneurs. And in part of that process, they were cut off from retail because they could either just buy stuff at Sally Beauty that they didn't want to sell or use, or they could maybe try to scrape together a lot of money and do a big order for one of the traditional brands that still have large order sizes.
And then they didn't even have the space for it, or the time or the resources to retail it,
Yeah.
Especially if you were, because I remember having these conversations where you're really focused on, and again, it may be one of the first times I heard the term, the independent stylist, because, I've been a hairdresser for 30 years and it was your renter or your commission.
Yeah.
Like the renter commission. But the concept of independent, I think, again, might have been indie stylist, independent. I might have heard that come out of your mouth before I ever heard it anywhere else.
Yeah. So that's what I was focused on. I mean, one of my core beliefs is that hairdressing is a much better career than most hairdressers recognize.
Right.
It's a way to have personal freedom where you can, make money just by deciding that you want to do more work. There's all these people who've got hair that need haircuts, and it's a money that has an annuity stream where when you build a relationship, those clients come back and back and back and back. There's so many elements of it that I think are fantastic, and it's also just not going to be disintermediated by technology. So it's sticking around, and yet so many hairdressers have a negative self-perception of themselves as business people. They don't feel that they can achieve success like other people, and to me, it's much more. It's like, I think there are doctors who are like saving your life. There maybe psychiatrists and psychologists who are saving your brain, and then hairdressers are like right there. It's they are really enhancing your life in meaningful ways with specific knowledge, and they deserve more credit than I think they give themselves. So another part of why I was focused so much on the independent hairdresser is that these are people who really need to recognize that they are business people, and as a business person who understands hairdressing as well as I do, I felt like I could really help them. And I had put a lot of energy into trying to help hairdressers become more professional and more successful and make more money. And frankly, that was the business model idea behind this sort of, I call it a perpetual affiliate model, where hairdressers are able to make money by introducing their clients to Hairstory products. And then every time that client comes back to buy, not from them, but from us, they make just as much money as they would if they sold retail in their salon. All
right. So a lot of our community who are watching have probably in the past year or so heard the term affiliate. And it's something that people are embracing. It was kind of, I like to think, inevitable after you explained it to me. And so I was like, damn, that makes a lot of sense and that's going to happen. But it didn't really take off. You guys ran with it and had success, but the rest of the industry, in a lot of ways, is a traditional industry. And it's like, well, let's just wait and see. Then COVID happens, and now literally many, many brands, if not every brand, had to figure out an affiliate program. Now, when I first spoke with you, you didn't necessarily use the word affiliate. I don't remember what the word that you used was, but it was a different type of marketing, and it was an ongoing perpetual stream. But now we know it as this affiliate thing. And once again, I do think that Hairstory, at least for me, and I'm pretty dialed in, you guys were the originators of this concept in the pro beauty world. And I want to dig into that more, but I also want to talk about the product itself. So anyone that's watching here, maybe you've heard of Hairstory, probably from the great artists that you follow. As I mentioned, there was like this trickle down thing, and there were a lot of these incredible hairdressers who tend to be a little bit more progressive in their thinking, bohemian in their style, that Hairstory seemed to really appeal to. I think it's bigger than that, let's be honest. I think it's great because once we talk about the business model and great product, it's great for every type of hairdresser. But you have like this solid core of progressive thinking, bohemian styling hairdressers who are always out there showing their work and saying, you know, I didn't use shampoo. I don't want to use detergent because I dry the hair naturally. And then we get to this thing about the man who wants to rid the world of shampoo. So what's so bad about shampoo and detergent, and why should we work with it differently? Why should we get rid of these detergents and start to work with oil-based cleansers?
So to answer that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. One of my favorite moments in looking back at my own personal career was, and I think around 2004, I was at Bumble and I saw a headline, and the headline said, Walmart becomes the largest retailer of organic milk in America. And it struck me because
I remember that. Yeah.
I grew up in Vermont. My parents were hippies before I moved to Irvington. My parents were hippies. I lived on communes, and we used to eat our food. We'd get our food from like these healthy food stores that smelled real funny. And I drank goat's milk so I thought like organic stuff and organic milk was just for weird people like my family. Yeah. And then it started to become a bit more mainstream. But when I saw that headline that Walmart had become the number one, I was like, this is really happening. And I immediately set up a call with my boss at Estee Lauder, this guy. I won't say his name, but he was the group president. And I met with him and I said, we have an incredible opportunity here. We have to change Estee Lauder to become the number one most sustainable, healthful beauty brand in the world. We're going to change the formulas. We're going to change the packaging. Like, let's do this. It's happening. Walmart just announced that they're the number one retailer of organic milk. This is happening. And he looked at me and he said, Eli, it's not happening. This is just like a little thing. It's like a fad. It's not happening. We're not going to do that. And that's when I decided I was leaving. And so fast forward, the reason this is relevant is you now have a category of milk that isn't from cows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oat milk and
You've got oat milk, soy milk, and
almond milk.
Almond milk.
Yeah. I've got a refrigerator full of it. My wife is lactose intolerant, so.
Well, who would have guessed? Who would have guessed just 10 years ago that milk alternatives would be 10% of?
Oh my God! When you go to the milk aisle, it's hard to find regular, dairy cow milk because there's just so much alternative. Yeah.
Well, I'm here today telling you, give us another 5 to 10 years, and cleansing creams, which is really the category that is, where New Wash lives. It's not a shampoo. It's not a conditioner. It's in the middle. It's a cleansing cream. The cleansing creams are going to be to shampoo and conditioner what milk alternatives are to traditional milk. And Hairstory is going to be the Oatly. So, we are creating an entirely new category of cleansing products, an entirely new way to clean your hair. And the reason for it is that every hairdresser knows intuitively shampoo's not good for your hair and your scalp because of one simple reason: it just over cleans it. It strips away all of the stuff your body's producing to protect you, the natural oil barrier. And it just cleans too effectively, too much. It's great for cleaning your floor or your car or a hospital floor. It's just not good for your hair and your scalp. And so
too much detergent, basically.
Too much detergent. And so what do you have to do? You have to put conditioner back in to moisturize it, and then you put styling products back in to dirty it up so it'll look good. And it turns out if you take shampoo out of the equation, then everything gets better. And yet you still want to be clean. And so what New Wash is, this category of cleansing creams is the equivalent of the non-foaming oil-based cleansers that people have been using on their face for probably over a decade now, designed specifically for your hair and your scalp. And it really works. It will clean your hair. It'll be a different feel of clean. It won't be squeaky, that kind of clean. It's a nice, smooth clean that allows your scalp to calm down and stop overproducing oil and allows your hair to get its natural body back. And so what we like to say is that it's like the hair you had when you were a kid, before you had been using shampoo for decades and before you were washing every day. Kids' hair is amazing. And people, when they switch away from detergent, they start using a cleansing cream like New Wash, they notice a difference. And most importantly, they get stopped. And people talk about getting random compliments all the time. So I know as hairdressers, you're like totally skeptical. One part of your brain is saying, well, of course, I don't like really recommending shampoo, and I know that you don't want to use it too much. And the other side is all the training you had, which is that the beauty companies came into every single beauty school and they said, we need to sell lots of shampoo and conditioner. So let's write in the training books how essential and elemental and important it is. And that's what they did. So we're on a mission to reverse that and to introduce not just to hairdressers, but to consumers broadly, that there is a totally different way to clean your hair that will lead to better hair.
And, as I say, trying is believing. So if you're watching, just check in the comment section here. I've put a link that you can use. Just copy it, paste it in your browser, and you can get an 8-ounce version of New Wash for free, complimentary. Eli and Hairstory are so sure that you'll notice the difference that you'll then want to become part of their affiliate program for hairdressers. So if you're a hairdresser and you want to try an 8-ounce bottle, you can either try it on some clients. I recommend trying it on yourself, so you can really see the difference, because it's only 8 ounces. So maybe for that whole give up shampoo and conditioner completely, work with that exclusively for 6 or 8 weeks, however long it takes you to go through 8 ounces and figure it out. Another thing that I've always admired, and it goes back to what you were saying, I guess being raised a hippie, and you guys were so forward thinking in packaging. So you were some of the first ones who made these giant aluminum, which I don't even think you do that anymore, I'm not sure, but you had like refillable aluminum liters, and then you sold the shampoo in these plastic pouches. So that you didn't have to keep buying another liter bottle. And I always thought that was amazing. I still have the original one in my shower because it also looks really good. And now I know you've gone even further, and those pouches, you've made them as biodegradable and recyclable as possible. Talk a little bit about that. And then also, I know, we focus on New Wash because it's kind of like the gateway product to Hairstory, but you've got great styling products as well.
Okay, so the packaging is interesting. You said, you can get a bottle of New Wash. You can't actually get a bottle anymore.
Right.
We only put it in pouches.
Right.
And the pouches, they're not biodegradable. That would be a pretty neat trick, but they're a huge step forward. First of all, they use a teeny fraction. Say they use about 10% of the plastic it takes to make a shampoo and conditioner bottle, like the two. So if the consumer switches to New Wash, they're saving 90% of the plastic. Because New Wash is you don't need a conditioner with New Wash.
So it doesn't come in a bottle anymore. It just comes in a pouch. Pouch isn't biodegradable. My ignorance, but it's highly recyclable.
It's recyclable though, and that's the big change. So at the beginning, we are the first beauty company to launch a fully recyclable that you can just throw it, you clean it out and throw it in the bin pouch. Because historically, all pouches have had a layer of aluminum that has been required to be in there by the FDA. And this new company came out with this new technology. And if you're a competitor out there and you're listening, I'll tell you how to make the pouches. Like, I want everyone to be using good pouches. I want the least amount of pouches in landfill possible. But we're the first, and it's not easy. It's really not easy to switch to this pouch, but it takes we've actually reduced the amount of plastic by another 30% from our old pouch. And so we've just been really focused on trying to have the lightest impact we can have on the world, recognizing that all business generates waste. that you can't be in a commercial interest and say that you're zero waste. I don't believe in that term at all. But I do think you can try to minimize your waste any way you can. And New Wash itself, by the way, is biodegradable.
Okay, well, there you go. Do you think, now again, I mentioned this kind of core following that you guys have that are super progressive and almost evangelical in a way. Do you feel, and I mean, I know the answer is going to be yes, but that all of this has made them that much more kind of in allegiance with you, where I see like they just think of there's another beauty brand that might make a good product, but I'm not even interested because they're not doing these things that Eli's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's par for the course for being a brand is that, particularly in today's age with all of the independents out there, what I wanted to create was a community. I wanted to create a place where people could find a home, they could see themselves in that home, and where we could all communicate and engage with each other and help each other. That's why we have all of these metrics I've created to help consult and help hairdressers make more money, look at the hair side of their business, the services, not the retail side. We coach people on their services, not just the retail.
Right. And just a note to that, I mean, every month we partner with Hairstory and Hairbrained to send out an email to our whole community that has tips and tricks and ways that you can learn to be more successful. And that's been something that has been very well received. People are really enjoying. The last one was about the history of shampoo, which was open rates were incredible. I want to talk to you about that. Okay. People really want to know because it's like we're so busy. We don't really know like what's happening here. I'm just busy doing my thing. So when I can get this information, another one that you guys created for us was a survey that you could share with your clients to find out, why they like you, or if people, even more important, the people that have left, if you can get them to take the survey, then you can learn. And I know this is you being very data driven. It's like, where did we fail? Let's figure out the data points. Where are we successful? Let's figure out the data points. And all the truth lies in the analysis of that. So be sure you're on the Hairbrained mailing list. You can go to any one of our properties, whether it be Hairbrained Pro, hblive.me, and just click to join the mailing list so you can get this email every month, as well as the many other emails that we send. And if you're watching and you're interested here, be sure to take advantage of the link that I've pasted so you can try a pouch of New Wash, an 8-ounce pouch for free, and see how the product works for yourself. So Eli, we've talked a bit about the product. We've talked about the kind of community that you've created. And we touched on this idea of the affiliate program. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you're the first person that I heard of different things in the past that worked like this, but you were the first person to bring it in. Now, I myself haven't been a salon owner for many years, and at one point looking at my shelves and thinking, wow, I've got probably about $60,000 worth of inventory on the shelves. And the truth being, if you don't have that much, you're not even in the retail business, because people walk in, you can't have 2 bottles of shampoo and be like, I'm trying to sell one. And I don't know if it was you or maybe it was Tev. He's like, you go in a grocery store, they have to have 500 apples piled up for you to take one.
Yeah.
If there's 1 or 2 apples there, nobody takes the 1 or 2 apples.
Yeah.
And that always stuck with me. So, it became part of the business, the salon business. You have to have a huge amount of square footage. You have to outfit it beautifully. You have to merchandise it, detail it. And again, unfortunately, many salon owners failed at this. Some did amazingly, let's be honest, but a lot failed at it. So I always thought, is there another way for people who maybe this isn't working for? And then I heard your view. So break that down for us.
So basically, the way Hairstory works is that number one is you have to use New Wash because if you're not using it, then you're not going to sell it. It's one of those very unique products, and you do have to sort of buy into the idea that that there's an alternative that's better to shampoo. And so if you're using it at the back bar, you don't need to have all of our products on the walls. You can have some there for someone who wants to take it home right then and there, but you're using it and you're just explaining to your clients what you're using and just talking about it as it factually, and you don't have to actually sell it. We have QR codes. You can just have your clients, if you're interested, here, I've got this link. You'll get a discount if you buy off the link, or you can just zap this QR code and you'll get a discount, but no pressure. Like there's no transaction that has to happen right there, because once that client uses your link and they buy that first time, they're connected to you forever. And every time they come back to buy, you will earn the same commission as if just as much money as if you had sold it off the shelf. So that's the sort of basic idea. And I call it a perpetual affiliate model. And it's different from a regular affiliate model. And I'll tell you why it's much more powerful. First of all, the regular affiliate model is for a product that is available everywhere. So, a lot of them are on Amazon, or maybe it's on the website of the company. But if it's a company that is also selling at Sephora or Ulta or Amazon or Net-a-Porter or anywhere else, then the customer can buy it there, and there's no way to know that your customer is the one who bought. So you won't get the commission. And what we did from the beginning is we said it has to be a closed system. It has to be a closed loop. We won't let our product be sold anywhere where we don't know who the customer is who's buying at the end, and we aren't able to make sure that the hairdresser always gets paid. And so that's basically the fundamental premise. And it's the core difference. Right now, if you were to introduce almost any other brand of a product and the customer loves it, I mean, half the time they'll pull up their phone and be like, oh, look, I can get it even cheaper on Amazon. Aren't you excited for me? No, I'm not excited. But after they decide they like it, if it is available on Amazon, it's just so much easier to just add it into the cart, and they're gonna get it at home. Or if they're shopping at Sephora and they see it along with some other stuff, they're going to grab it and they're going to put it in their. And you're starting, and you don't get any credit for introducing that person to the brand or the product. And our belief is that whoever introduces our product to a customer to the brand, they deserve to be compensated, not just that one time, but into perpetuity. And so that's what we do. We don't sell through Sephora. We don't sell through Ulta. We do sell through Amazon, but only because we figured out a way to check and make sure that every single customer is either a new customer who's not associated with a hairdresser, or if they are, then the hairdresser gets a commission. And we pay a commission both to Amazon and to the hairdresser.
So, I mean, in simplest terms, if I recommend Hairstory, New Wash, or any of the Hairstory products, because again, we always focus on New Wash because it's such a hero, but there's incredible styling products in the line here, from Undressed and all that. That person, they buy through our portal, or they use our link or our QR code, and then it's kind of stays with them forever. Anytime when they purchase it, no matter if they go directly to you, if they're buying it from Amazon, the hairdresser who first introduced them is getting a percentage.
Yeah, and also on the website, we prompt everyone who checks out, did a hairdresser introduce you? So there's one more fail safe. And by the way, if it turns out that your client shows up next time and is like, oh my God, I've been using New Wash, it's so great, I love it, thank you. And you're like, wait a second, I looked in my commissions and I didn't see a commission from that customer. You just have to call us up and say, oh, by the way, this person is my customer. We're like, great, there you go. We'll give you the commission for the past purchase and every purchase going forward.
So let's talk dollars and cents here. And I know you're a data guy. So someone who's out there, who's a busy hairdresser, maybe doing 40 clients a week, focused on Hairstory as their main product, following everything that you're suggesting here, doing, let's not say they're insane. Like they're not famous or anything like that. They're just a normal hairdresser doing everything that you're saying. What kind of money can they make a month off of their Hairstory perpetual affiliate program?
So I'd say a hairdresser who's doing well is going to be making somewhere between $500 and $1,000 a month.
With no out-of-pocket expense, really.
Zero, yeah. I mean, you can if you want to. You can buy some inventory, but we even actually have a consignment program for a bunch of hairdressers or salons.
So you give them time to pay it off. You go, you need it on your shelf. Here you go.
We just only charge as it's sold. That's what it is. Right. We have a special app, and you just scan your inventory and like, oh, you sold 5 this week, so we're going to charge you for those 5. So it's not even like debt. It's like real true consignment. But someone who's doing really well. I mean, we've got people who are making tens of thousands of dollars.
Every single month.
Every single month, and they tend to have they have like an Instagram following, and so they're introducing more broadly than just in their chair. But and then there's some people who just make $100 a month, and like that's great. It adds up over time, and it helps pay for a vacation, once a year, or for a trip to get some education.
The perpetual part is interesting because they. And I not that I would encourage this, but someone maybe could be good at this for a year or so and then move on and not do anything. Maybe they're not even a hairdresser anymore. Let's look at it that way. They're still getting money, aren't they?
They are. And I'll tell you what's most powerful. The average hairdresser loses 25% of their clientele a year. Half of the people they lose, it's because people move.
Right.
Half of them they lose because something didn't work right. Which means that they're putting more people into the chair and refilling that 25% constantly by, acquiring new customers through Instagram or through word of mouth or whatever it is. Those people, if this person moves to California and you introduce them in New York, when that person continues to buy new wash, you're getting a commission. So you're building out a whole network that just builds and builds over time. And the thing that's particularly powerful about this model and different is, let's be honest, if you're using, I don't know, choose a brand of shampoo, and another brand comes out with something that looks cool, the client's going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll give that a shot. I'll try it. Some people have this idea that they need to like rotate the shampoos they use because it's better for their hair. I don't buy that, by the way,
Right.
but when you switch from using shampoo, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to start using a shampoo again. Once you've stopped your cycle, your hair has calmed down, that vicious cycle is broken, your scalp has calmed down, you can't switch away from new wash, at least not without losing the benefits. And so our product is insanely sticky. Half of our sales are subscriptions. And so the real goal is to convert someone from one style of cleansing to this new alternative. And then they're just going to stick with it. So that just means you're just getting another check depending on how big the size is, every month, every 2 months, every 3 months from that client.
So, I mean, Eli, to me, like I said, it's a fantastic story. I mean, you've got a deep history with, iconic hairdressers, iconic brand. You had your own vision here, and you've kind of taken it to do something different in an industry where, to be honest, I mean, things have been the same for a very long time. With just like, we'll make it pink. No, we'll make it black, and we'll use this font. But I mean, the business model, the products have all been very similar for a very long time. So introducing a new business model that's very hairdresser centric, even, I mean, to the one hairdresser, meaning it's not about, I need 50 hairdressers each selling a bottle of shampoo every day to pay my rent. It's about one hairdresser thinking independently for themselves and thinking about, how they can add $500 to $1,000 a month to their income, which is life-changing. Mm-hmm. Or I know some of those people you're talking about are doing $15,000, $16,000 a month by using their social media presence and being a true affiliate. And then creating, a whole new category of products. So I think, we've touched on these really important things that makes Hairstory unique. I also want to, before we kind of wrap up, go back to just that general thing. You were with us a lot during the, not that we're out of COVID, don't get me wrong here, but during the time where I think we knew less and we were more worried and a lot of us couldn't work. And you did help explain many, many things, very valuable things there. So where do you think we are now, and in the short term, do you think as an industry, we're kind of through the woods? Do you think that we're still in a very dicey place? I was just at a PBA conference, the Pro Beauty Association, and the CEO of Hairbrained, Gordon Miller, did a presentation based on a PBA survey where the numbers looked to be going in the right direction as an industry. It wasn't all doom and gloom. There were a few scary things, but they've been scary forever, like hairdressers being slow to adapt to technology. This was one that blew my mind, that over 50% of salons, however you classify that, are still don't run with a computer. They still run on a book. Yeah. But not to get off topic there, but I thought you'd like that one. Mm-hmm. What do you think in the short term? Are we through the woods here? Are we still in a dicey place?
It's a good question. My personal belief is that it's going to be a little bit scary this winter because there are going to be resurgent, spikes of COVID. but they're not going to be as dangerous. And I think we're going to be okay. But I also think that COVID's not going away, and that a sort of an element of life that we've really, we're just going to have to get used to it. And so that's kind of sucky. It's sucky for our kids. It's sucky in so many different ways. But I think that we're going to persevere, and hairdressers are going to be well positioned through all of the changes that are happening. There's like huge tectonic changes that technology is enabling. Jobs that seemed like they were totally safe and like the best, like accounting or being a lawyer, they're being replaced by algorithms. And I want to go back to where I started, which is I think hairdressing is a fantastic career, and people who've chosen it should not just be proud, but should lean in and turn it into something that is what they want. I did a great interview recently. I did a consulting session with this woman who's a hairdresser, and she was telling me how she works. Her hours are Monday through Friday from, I think, 9 to 2. And it's because she wants to be at home for her kids. And she's able to make a really great living while they're at school. And so she's changed the traditional hours from what people thought they should be doing for hairdressing. I think, there's so much. If you're not leveraging technology, my God, you're just missing out on the ability to learn so much about your business, to make more money with the same amount of effort and time. And so like she's able to embrace Hairstory in a way where she's going to make this extra money. Where else can you make money in your sleep, right? When your clients are buying online and you're sleeping and you're making money. There are just so many ways to leverage technology. And I think that hairdressers are really well poised to not have to change structurally, but to evolve as the world evolves. And I believe that independence and smaller salons are part of the future, that you don't need a salon at the street level anymore, that you can have one in some loft space on the 5th floor, and that you can be massively successful, sending out and building your own brand with social media. I mean, all of these things are so exciting, and not many other careers have those types of potential. So I think it's a great career, and I'd love to have people, become part of our community, and we'll try to teach you everything we can, and we'll learn from you too.
Well, awesome, Eli. I want to thank you for your time and for sharing, with what I've experienced with Hairstory for the past, 5 or 6 years, or maybe even longer than that, if we include everything. Why I am such a fan of the brand and what you've created, and the new business model, the different thinking on cleansing the hair. Thank you for sharing all that. I do want to encourage everyone one last time before we wrap up here to copy the link. It's in the comment section. I've got it highlighted right here. Be sure to just put it in your URL, and Hairstory will send you an 8-ounce pouch that you can try it on your own hair for 6 weeks. You will be convinced. I've used it for many years now. Big fan. And think about how it can transform your business, because I know Eli's cited a few things, but I know there are dozens, if not hundreds, of stories of people who change the way they think about their business. They're doing better, making more money, and to be honest, perhaps maybe more able to focus on being creative, and just let's make people's hair look great. Because bottom line is, if you make someone's hair look great and they trust you, they will take any recommendation that you give them. I've always believed that. I never had a challenge with retail because I was focused on the hair, making it look great. And then it's like, wow, how do I do this? Well, let me show you how you do it. You need this brush, you need this cleanser, you need this styling product, you need to do this, you need to do that. It all flows through naturally. So again, Eli, thank you for your time. Have a happy holidays. And
hold on, before you say goodbye, I want to take this one moment publicly to send back a little of the love. Gerard, you have created something amazing with Hairbrained, and all these people who are here watching it are because you had a vision and you believed you could bring them together. And I don't know that you get enough credit all the time for having that foresight, leveraging technology before anyone else was, and building something of real value. So I want to just make sure that I got to, while I have you here on the spot, let you know and let the world know that I think what you've done with Hairbrained is amazing, and I'm really proud of you.
Well, I very much appreciate that, and thank you. Thanks again for your time, and look forward to seeing you again real soon. And best of luck in 2022.
Thank you. Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.